live right here on the Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you, and we are going to talk about the Subway Series as the New York Mets and the New York Yankees meet up in the annual clash of New York teams. And really, you talk about two teams going in two entirely opposite directions. The Yankees with 40 wins, the best record winning percentage-wise in baseball right now, the only team without 20 losses. And the Mets, well, it's been an absolute train wreck, because right now they are 16-31 in their last 47 games, and everything is coming apart. Joining me to talk about the Subway Series and more is the one and only Doug Rush. Doug, how you doing, man?
Man, 16-31. Does it seem like it was forever ago when the Mets were 11-1? It looked like they were the world beaters of the National League. And
seriously,
16-31.
Oh
Jeez,
my God,
man.
it's just incomplete. It's just terrible.
That's as bad of baseball as it gets, man. And it gets even worse now with all the injuries that just happened less than 3 hours ago. Familia, Syndergaard, if things can't get any worse, it has for the Mets.
It's the never-ending story of the pain that is the New York Mets. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, you're right. It feels like it was a century ago when they were 11-1, right? And now all of a sudden, this team just can't hit. They can't pitch. They can't get themselves out of any kind of trouble. And all the problems that were a problem for them over the last few years, and everyone's blaming Terry Collins, and you blame all the Mets training staff that was there, and now all the problems that were part of the equation the last few years, it's now tenfold now. And you sit there and you wonder, well, whose fault is it now? I mean, that's basically what it is with the Mets. It's like, who do we blame now? We can't blame Terry Collins. You can't blame the training staff. Who gets the blame now? Everyone's blaming Sandy Alderson now, which is probably the easiest person to go after. You can blame Mickey Callaway. You can blame everybody for that matter.
You can't even blame Mickey Callaway because, you showed you that they could play well in the beginning. It's just nobody can stay healthy, and unfortunately, this is the roster that Sandy Alderson built. He hasn't been a terrible general manager, but at the same time, he built this very old roster surrounded by pitching, and if the pitching doesn't do what it's supposed to, you're not going to have much success. I mean, DeGrom has been the most consistent, and then everything else has been kind of a train wreck. So, I mean, if Syndergaard has to miss a significant amount of time with this finger injury or whatever he's got now, there's no point in even attempting to try to compete for any sort of playoff. Just wave the white flag, just kind of, sell off what you can. I know Met fans don't want to hear, Jacob DeGrom's in the Yankees, but, at this point, they need to replenish that system that's just been severely, tapped out from all the trades they made in 15 and 16 to make a run. So, the Mets are just, it's kind of like what the Yankees used to be when they used to coach the farm system for good players, and then they competed. This time around, they're not even competing, and they've already coached the system when they success and Bruce and everybody else, and now they're looking at being one of the worst teams in the National League. So there's not many options left in the Mets, and it's almost to the point where you almost have to do a full-blown a restart on this whole franchise.
Yeah, I don't even know where you begin with this team. I really don't. And you mentioned the injuries, Syndergaard with the finger injury, which got much worse today as he was playing catch and just aggravated the injury. Now a sore shoulder for Familia. I agree. I think that the Mets are in a situation where they're going to have to start to think about very seriously trading a lot of these pieces and replenishing this farm system. There really isn't anybody on this team outside of DeGrom that is really a trade-worthy candidate. Now, you can consider Asdrubal Cabrera, but with his expiring contract, his age at this point in his career, are you really going to get a significant amount in return for Asdrubal Cabrera? Probably not. Jay Bruce is having a terrible season. He's not a tradable piece right now. Ahmed Rosario has been a complete disappointment in my mind. 3 home runs, 18 RBIs out of a guy who a lot of people thought would be the next Jose Reyes. He hasn't even come close to even replicating his numbers. Certainly isn't the stolen base threat or even a leadoff guy that we all thought he would be. So there's really no trade piece here for the Mets outside DeGrom. And I know the Yankees and Mets probably will never agree to a trade, but you know what? If I'm the Mets, and you can get a couple of nice pieces like a Clint Frazier and a Miguel Andujar for a Jacob DeGrom, you have to at least consider it.
I mean, they're kind of running out of options to like what they can do to rebuild that entire organization. I mean, especially as Sammy Alderson's health gets worse and he gets older. I don't know who they would look to as the next GM. I mean, I know they still have Omar back on staff, but I don't know if he go that route. But I mean, they're in such a disarray that you're right. Outside of DeGrom and now that's the Syndergaard injury, there's nothing right now that they can even trade. Rosario's not really worth much. Dominic Smith really isn't worth much. Todd Frazier, all these guys are hitting very low. Steve Bruce is hitting low for low average. AJ Gonzalez is a shell of what he used to be. It's just you don't have many options.
Meanwhile, you flip the script to the Bronx and you take a look where the Yankees are right now, and they are in a great spot. As I mentioned, they have the best record in the American League at 40-18. They're hitting on all cylinders. You have Judge with 17 home runs. Didi Gregorius has hit the ball very well, especially early in the season. You're getting great contributions from a lot of places, guys like even Neil Walker. Gleyber Torres has been an absolute revelation for this ball club. He has been tremendous with the bat. He's one of the leaders in batting average on this team right now, hitting at .294. The 10 home runs, the 28 RBIs, the big hits and big spots. He has been tremendous. Everyone's really contributing, and the pitching has been decent. I mean, there's been some concerns, but they've been pretty decent so far. Really, outside of the weather delays that have really been a hindrance to the Yankees so far this year, and the whole thing with the ESPN controversy over the Sunday Night Baseball, not a lot has gone wrong here for the Yankees so far this year. It's really about all things that have gone right for New York.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only team in baseball that has less than 20 losses. Their rotation is question mark, especially, with Jordan Montgomery going down with Tommy John surgery and, Sonny Gray has been so up and down. He's actually put together 2 really good starts in his last 2 outings. But, I mean, from between now and July 31st, you're going to hear every big pitching name linked to the Yankees, just like we talked about last year. Now you're hearing, Madison Bumgarner, Cole Hamels, Patrick Corbin, Michael Fulmer. You're hearing all the big names that potentially Udell are all going to be linked to the Yankees, just like last year. All the big names were linked to the Astros, the Dodgers. The Yankees I feel like, are one big picture away from being a bona fide legitimate contender. Just like the Astros felt they were a Justin Verlander away from winning a championship, and just like the Dodgers felt like they were a Yu Darvish away as well. That worked out in favor of the Astros. The Yankees bullpen has been solid. Their lineup has been tremendous. I think it's just taking that one more pitcher in the rotation. To go with Severino, Tanaka, Steve Sabathia, and whether it's Bumgarner, Hamel, whoever it is. I mean, you take those forward to a playoff series. I mean, last year, they took those 3 and Sonny Gray into a Game 7 against Houston, and they're just that much closer to being a championship contender again. So, I mean, aside from that, this team has been firing on all cylinders. They're winning series.
Yep.
They're all the comebacks they've had. They're beating legitimate teams like the Red Sox. They actually big dominated the Astros this year. And in years past, they've gotten their tails kicked by the Astros. So there's definitely this special feeling about the Yankees, but I feel like they're one piece away, which I think will be the starting pitcher. I think by July 31st, they'll probably get it.
Yeah, and the one thing that's the biggest question right now is who do they let go of? Because the Yankees have such a deep minor league system and so many good young players. The question is going to be who they're going to be willing to let go. Obviously, a lot of teams, we hear this on the radio all the time now, teams first players they're going to ask for are Andahar. Torres, of course, is you can't touch him; he's not going anywhere. And also Frazier. Those are the guys that people link in trades all the time. Yankees aren't trading Torres. Maybe Andahar could be a trade piece. Maybe Frazier could be a trade piece. I think Frazier's the guy that's the number one link. But to me, that's the biggest question for the Yankees right now. Who are they willing to let go of in this minor league system in this plethora of young players to go out there and get a pitcher? Is a Cole Hamels worthy of a trade to let go of a Miguel Andahar and a Clint Frazier? That's the biggest question right now. Or someone else, like a Jesse Sheffield.
So, I mean, the things I've been hearing about Cole Hamels, I don't even think that because he's 34, getting $20 million and is in a last year of his contract, I don't even think any of the major prospects will be an issue for getting him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're talking about some of the younger pitchers, Bumgarner, maybe DeGrom, depending on. Gleyber Torres is about as untouchable as an untouchable gets. He's kind of like in the Aaron Judge, Luis Severino. Like, the Yankees are not trading them. Now, Miguel Andujar is an interesting case because he basically, while he picked Brandon Drury right out of his third base job, he's been playing fantastic. The jury's always been on his gloves. He can hit the ball very well, but the defense is always going to concern. Brandon Drury has had the vision issues, and he's basically been relegated to AAA. And he's actually playing well in AAA.
Mm-hmm.
So you could potentially maybe swing Brandon Drury as a piece in a package for a pitcher and give him to a team. He could start every day at third. He could play first if needed, a little outfield. So he's a potential a trade chip, especially if they want to hang on to Andujar, because, I mean, and the other thing you have to think of, do the Yankees really want to make a run at Manny Machado next year, whether it being at shortstop or third base? Now, if they see him as a third baseman, then that kind of what you did with Andujar, I mean, that's something they have to ask themselves, because, I mean, Andujar has kind of solidified himself as a third baseman, then you don't need Machado. You can pass on in free agency. But if they're still eyeing up Machado, and many people have said that it's a perfect match and Machado wants to be a Yankee, then you have to wonder what can you do with Andujar. Maybe you bring back Drury, you trade Andujar for the big arm like Bumgarner or the ground, and then you attack it, the playoffs and free agency. But I mean, this is what Brian Cashman did the one season where he accepted that they weren't going to be a contender, unloaded all the older players and the trade chips, and loaded up the farm system, because and teams can never do this. They can never have $1 billion in payroll, and on top of getting a deep farm system, if you one or the other. Well, the Yankees had the rare case of doing both, and now they're in a great position where they can add key players and give away key pieces and still have a ton left over, and still have more for the future. And this is why they are now set up for the next 5, 10 plus years to make another run, just like the Yankees from 96 to 2001 and even beyond, with all the years they made the playoffs. This is Brian Cashman doesn't get enough credit for the job he's done, especially ever since 2013, just restocking the farm system, building the team the way he wants to. Now it's a team full of their guys with key veterans, and right now they're on the doorstep of potentially another dynasty, at least a team that's going to be a perennial playoff contender like they were in the 90s and 2000s.
Absolutely. I mean, they look like a team that could go out there and win 100 games this year. They really do. I mean, it's hard to go up, hard to pitch against this lineup. Even with the National League rules, as we'll see here this weekend at Citi Field, you go up and down this lineup, it's just murderer's row. There's just nobody you want to really pitch to, and that's what gives this Yankee team an advantage throughout Major League Baseball, even up against some of the stiffer competition. I know Houston has all that great starting pitching, but we even saw in that series, both series, the Yankees hit the Astros, especially out of the bullpen. So, if we get a series in October where it's going to be Yankees-Astros again, and right now that looks like the collision course, no disrespect to Boston, but if it is Houston and the Yankees, if the Yankees get into that bullpen, watch out, because the Yankees are not going to fold at Houston again unless the Astros go out there and start using all their starting pitchers out of the bullpen in a short series.
I mean, if you notice the Astros, most series, they kind of stick to the plan of their bullpen, whether it's Navarsky, Ken Giles, every game against the Yankees, it's like they're almost afraid to throw their biggest arms out there because they just can't get anybody out. And it's like they have a psychological advantage because, Ken Giles, has a legitimate hard-throwing closer, and the Yankees have owned him for the last 2 years. And, it's going to be a big advantage that the Yankees, can send up a lot of these guys, and they're not afraid of, their biggest arms, whereas most of the Astros' biggest relievers are fairly good against the rest of the league. But it's just one of those things that the Yankees aren't afraid of the Astros, and it seems like you might be seeing a little bit of a change in momentum as far as when these two teams play.
I'll be honest. As far as pressure in this series is concerned, you want to say there's a little more pressure on the Mets because they're in the middle of a 6-game losing streak. They're at home. They've only scored 7 runs in this homestand. I guess you could say that. Mickey Callaway is not getting fired this week, so I don't know why you want to sit there and say there's pressure on the managers here. If anything, to me, it's just another series that the Mets need to get off the schneid. And for the Yankees, you really don't want to lose a series to a team that's slumping, whether it's the Mets or anybody for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the pressure's on the Yankees because you don't want to lose to a team that also just lost to the Baltimore Orioles in their own building.
Yeah.
So maybe the pressure's a little bit on the Yankees, but at the same time, it's because of how decimated the Mets are. It doesn't have that same feel. I mean, even before, like 24 hours ago, you had DeGrom and Tanaka, and then you had on Sunday it was going to be Severino, Syndergaard, and that was 2 big pitching matchups. Now you take away Syndergaard, not as much pizzazz going into that game with Seth Lugo pitching. No disrespect to him, but people probably wanted to pay good money on Sunday to see Severino, Syndergaard, and now Syndergaard could be out for a while. So the pressure, I guess, a little bit on the Yankees, but at the same time, it's probably just going to be another series to them, just like when they're playing all the other National League teams. It's more of a fan thing than anything. It's more of the fans get into it. The players it's not the 2000 team where Piazza and Clemens and all the drama you saw back then. I mean, Todd Frazier was in the Yankee dugout, less than a year ago. It's a lot of guys who they're all pros. They have the chain of the bond of being players. So it's probably just another series for these guys. I mean, if there's any pressure, maybe just the Yankees not to not to lose 2 or 3, not to get swept by the Mets. But I mean, the Mets are so paper thin, so I don't know. I mean, I think the Mets have to hope they just don't get swept in their own building by the Yankees, who right now are just running away with the best record right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this may be their best chance with the DeGrom on the hill, but again, if they can't score runs for him, it's not going to matter who's on the hill for the Mets right now. And Domingo Germán goes tomorrow for the Yankees. I know he's been pitching poorly lately. He's gotten hit hard. Watch him go out there and throw a 1-hitter against the Mets. He's going to go 9 innings, 1-hit baseball, throw 86 pitches, strike out 20 batters. Just watch.
His first start, he had 6 no-hit innings.
I know.
He got taken out.
I know.
So, I mean, he's got that ability. He got figured out a little bit, but I mean, his first start out, he had 6 no-hit innings and looked like he could be, Michael Pineda light with some of the stuff he has. So I mean, given the Mets lineup and the anemic order that is going to be up there this weekend, this could be Germán's chance to really get things straightened out for him and get some confidence, and then kind of go deep into the game, and maybe get some reassurance that he deserves to be in the rotation until further notice.
Absolutely. So he's going to have a big start. Severino going on Sunday against Lugo, and as you said, the matchup loses a little bit of pizzazz. It was going to be Sunday Night Baseball. You would have had Syndergaard against Severino, the top 2 guys going at it in a big game like that, Yankees-Mets. Now it's just Severino who's looking to dominate against a good pitcher, but not a guy who's not Noah Syndergaard. So it's just kind of loses a little bit of steam there on Sunday night. But I think for the fans, I know a lot of people always complain, the series has lost a little pizzazz. It isn't what it was. Yeah, it isn't. To me, it's not what it was late 90s, early 2000s. But you still got the fans who are getting into it. It's going to be a packed ballpark no matter what. And you know what? There's going to be fans who are going to sit there and say, "Hey, remember this game where Aaron Judge hit a 370-foot home run, or a 500-foot home run to deep center field that hit the apple or whatever?" So there's always going to be moments that are going to come out of this. So to me, it's always about the fans, and that's really where it starts.
The series. I mean, Yankees-Mets. Right now the Yankees are the powerhouse, and the Mets aren't so much, but at the end of the day, the rivalry is always between the fans, and even if the Mets are, one of the worst teams in baseball, which right now they're not looking so good, you're still going to have a good crowd at Citi Field, and even when anytime the series is at Yankee Stadium, you're still going to look at the same thing because Yankees Mets always draws that crowd. You know, anytime you have a Yankee Mets series, people always have intrigue, no matter what year it is, and that's always going to be because it's the fan rivalry. Because they always Mets fans want to beat the Yankees, and Yankee fans enjoy beating the Mets because it's either beating up on little brother or big brother. So it's always going to be a fun rivalry for the weekend, and then the teams go on their merry way and do whatever they have to for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Last thing we'll hit up here. What are our favorite memories of the Subway Series? I'll let you go on this one. You tell me just give me some of your favorite memories. I'll give you some of mine.
I mean, obviously, winning the 2000 World Series. My high school at the time, I was a junior in high school, and the place was completely divided between Yankee and Mets fans. And, just being able to win that fourth championship in 5 years was pretty cool. The intensity with Clemens and Piazza. I think that's one of my favorite memories of the series, and just because heading into it, the Mets had a legitimate chance because the Yankees struggled heading into September, and then October, and they kind of just turned the switch, and then they were the Yankees in the playoffs. So I think the 2000 World Series was always the highlight of mine.
That was such a nail biter, that entire series. I mean, that thing could have flipped in so many different ways. I mean, if Timor Perez obviously doesn't screw things up on the bases, on the Todd Zeile double, who knows, that could be a completely different series. But then you have, of course, Paul O'Neill with the 10-pitch at bat against Armando Benitez, and then Benitez does what he always does, and that's just blow a big lead, a big lead and a big opportunity in a big game for the Mets. I mean, that game one just flipped the entire series on its head, and every single one of those games, all 5 of those games were really, really close. It was just intense the entire week.
Oh, totally. It was a good World Series. It doesn't show. It was the 4-1 series and reflects how tight that series was. I mean, how Leiter going up against Andy Pettit in those games, and Leiter grinding those bats, and Louis Soho with the 175 dribbler up the middle to take the lead, and it was a very tight game 4-1. It was a very close series, and they'll see every now and then they'll show some of the games on Yankee Classics because they were good. They're good basically.
To me, they should show all the good games. Even games that, let's just say, even if it's on Yankees Classics, games that the Yankees lose, like the game against that Matt Franco had that base hit that brought in, I think it was Edgar Alfonso and Ricky Henderson. I think they had to tie the game and win the game at that game. That classic Saturday afternoon game that went back and forth. I'll never forget it. I mean, those Piazza with a home run against, I think it was Ramiro Mendoza, I want to say. Yeah. And they hit the tent, right? And then, of course, with Matt Franco with the game-winning hit in the 10th inning. I mean, that was just classic stuff. I mean, it was just both ways. You go both ways with it. It was just a lot of big moments, especially early in the series.
And I mean, I actually watched this today. I call it the Luis Castillo game. Where Justin popped up off A-Rod, and the Yankees come back and win 9-8. I mean, I never saw a game end that way in my life. And I don't think I call it the Mets being the Mets, but I don't think Mets fans ever let Luis Castillo live that down. And just kind of, the Mets were doing okay in 2009, and then that happened. And I it was kind of like things started to go badly for the Mets that year, but once that happened. But I was seeing a lot of the highlights today of that pop up, and I think that when you hear the name Luis Castillo, I think every Met fan will be like, "Oh, he dropped that freaking A-Rod pop up." That's kind of his Met career summed up in one play.
Yeah, I didn't sleep that night when that happened. I mean, that game was won, and then he drops the pop up Castillo, and I'm like, really, the game was over, and they're all of a sudden, A-Rod slamming his bat into the dirt. He thinks the game is over. Then all of a sudden, the ball drops out of Castillo's glove. Yankees celebrating all over the field. It was just too much for me. It was just when I was like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So Subway Series time right here for the Mets and the Yankees. Of course, they will meet again later on in the year after the All-Star break over at Yankee Stadium. So 6 big games between these two teams this year. We'll see how it goes. But the Yankees, of course, are juggernaut. The Mets, not so much. All right, Doug, thanks a lot, man. Awesome stuff. I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait to see how this series is going to break down and see how some of these games turn out tonight.
Absolutely. That's round done.
All right, take care, man.
All right, take care.
Okay. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here tonight on the Open Mic program. I do apologize. There was some audio difficulty there in the show, but still, it was a good podcast. I want to thank Doug Rush for coming aboard, joining us today to talk about the Subway Series. And remember, you can follow us on the social media at Open Mic NJ on Twitter, Facebook.com/Open Mic Program, and remember to like and subscribe right here on the Sports Talk Nation.